Okay, we're live.
Anybody
We're live, guys.
Live on Facebook and live on YouTube. It's Whiskey Business remotely from our homes once again. I think we're counting down, fellas. I think we're counting down to where this will be a luxury instead of a necessity. You know,
You mean I have to put my pants on when we record Whiskey Business from now on?
We might be getting very close.
What the hell
We
is
might
this
be getting
bullshit?
very close to getting the band back together live and in person. You know,
maybe June 1st, maybe June 2nd.
June 2nd, we might be broadcasting back here at Casa Tripod, maybe outside.
That'd be nice.
Brian Stumpo's on board. Dino, I like this. What do you like, Brian? What do you like? Jamie Sanfilippo.
You like me?
Yeah, so as we were saying, fellas, this remote thing might become a luxury that we use in future podcasts when we want some people that we can't get here.
Yeah.
But we might be going back to doing face-to-face here shortly with the appropriate safe distancing, because we're not going to be animals about it, you know. And Rick Andreessen, good evening, sir, to you as well.
Rick.
But I already talked to Jamie today. He knows that Greg Warren is on the show tonight. For anybody else who's not tuned in or seen any of our Instagram posts or Twitter or Facebook, the very funny Greg Warren will be joining us tonight to talk about some of the stuff he's got cooking, including a comedy special, which will air on Amazon June 30th. We'll talk to him about that. He's also got a new podcast. Hey, Chipper. Brian Stumpo says, I like the weekly shows. Brian, we do a weekly show. We've been doing a weekly show for 4 years.
Thanks, Brian.
Way to pay attention.
Sarah says excited for Greg and you guys,
and I think
too.
she's probably talking about me, Greg. I think.
Yeah,
I like this. I like all the excitement around Greg.
She's just excited for you, Hansberry. Yeah,
who
wouldn't be? Who wouldn't be?
Exactly.
Oh, he likes the weekly shows on Facebook. We're going to discuss that. We will continue to do the Facebook thing on some level. We're just not sure how frequent. But I got to admit, this was a happy accident doing the Facebook Live and the YouTube Live. I've been kind of digging it, and I don't know how it's affected our actual listening on when the podcast drops on a Monday. But this is not the time for analytics and whatnot. This is Sarah says no, not you, Greg.
It's not me.
No.
Damn it.
No. They want to know if you got the staples removed.
I got the staples removed today. Thank you very much.
Did it hurt?
Yeah, no, they have a special tool that Gizmo took. They were out in 30 seconds.
I told you, like the
It's
staple
no longer
remover
apart.
in the office.
Yeah.
So like, pop, take it right out.
Yep. Yeah.
Joe Patron from Steubenville as well. Great to see you giving an up and comer like Greg a chance. Not you, Greg. Warren. He's joking. He loves Warren. Yeah, Quatron sent out a Facebook message too. Now that's a show, is what he put on Facebook. And then once again, it's like, what the hell? What the hell we've been doing? The other ones aren't shows.
Hey guys, if you're just now logging on or watching us, like and share right now. Share and like our stream. Try to get this out to as many people as you can.
Yeah, let's do that, please. Get us as many people as possible to watch this portion of it. So are we close to?
Yeah, I think so. You want to do it?
Off? Yeah, Hansberry, you good on your end?
Let's do it. My signal's real shitty tonight, so
okay.
It is what it is.
Paul Anthony, what piece of wisdom do you have tonight as we reopen Ohio? I don't know if I have wisdom, Paulie, but I know that we are reopening. I have some other statements to make about where we're at or where I'm at with this whole thing, which I'll share in the opening here in just a moment. So, Paulie, you're catching us in the pregame, as they say. Are we ready to record the cold open?
Let's do it.
Yes? All right. Hi, I'm Dino Tripodis. Tonight, he has a brand new podcast. He has a brand new comedy special that will debut on Amazon in June. And we're thrilled to have back the amazingly funny Greg Warren tonight on Whiskey Business. Okay?
All right.
Ready for the other part?
Yeah, man. Go for it.
Go for it.
Yeah.
All right. Hi, I'm Dino Tripodis, and welcome to Whiskey Business, the podcast not so much about whiskey as it is one with whiskey. Late breaking news. Ohio is reopened. The stay-at-home order is no longer a thing. We can rush out and do whatever the hell we want and go back to life as we knew it. But life is not as we knew it. I know that there have been a lot of studies over the course of stay-at-home, interesting studies. One in respects to, dreams. A lot of people were having vivid, creative dreams like they never had before during stay-at-home and the whole COVID crisis. Creative ones, nightmarish ones. That would be me. Nightmarish dreams. There have been studies that have put a focus on mental health. A lot of people depressed or finding out that they were depressed, finding those that were depressed got more depressed. And as much as we heard, we're all in this together, we heard it's okay to not be okay. There were a lot of studies about that and bringing some light to those situations. I want to know if there's been a study for men only about the potential loss of testosterone during the stay-at-home crisis. And was that testosterone replaced with estrogen? Because I've been crying at stuff I've never cried at before, ever. I'm not talking about stuff that it's okay to cry. I have no problem shedding a tear. I don't bottle up my emotions. I let it go when I think it's appropriate. But some of the shit, I was watching Rocky, the first one. All right. I've seen that movie 1,000 times. I love it. At the end, when he goes the distance and loses the fight, but goes the distance, and Adrian gets into the ring and she hugs him and says, "I love you, Rocky." And Rocky says, "I love you too." I was weeping. I love you both. Crying like a baby. When I used to watch that movie, my reaction would be that the next day I would either get up and go run, hit a heavy bag, or drink raw eggs, not weep like a small child. Apollo 13. The capsule's coming down. Will the heat shields hold? They go with no contact until they splash in the water. They splash in the water. Mission Control has their bated breath waiting to hear from Tom Hanks and the crew. And when Tom Hanks says, "It's good to be home," Mission Control erupts with joy. And I'm crying. I'm bawling. Why? I've never done that before, ever. I know how the movie ends. I've seen it. Hell, if I've never seen the movie, I know how it ends. It's called history. I know. So what's next for me? Am I going to go to my neighboring liquor store? Am I going to happen upon a unicorn bottle of Pappy Van Winkle that's selling at retail and weep openly while I put my debit card into the machine and going, I can't believe this is mine. This is mine. What the hell is happening? Hi. Once again, I'm Dino Tripodis, and welcome to Whiskey Business. A podcast
You're making me teary.
A podcast not so much about whiskey as it is one with whiskey. And tonight, before I introduce the boys and our very special guest, Greg Warren, the guest bottle for this evening, which I'm going to be finishing off tonight, is a bottle of 1776 from James E. Pepper. This is a rye whiskey. I'm a big fan of the rye whiskeys. This is one that is like 95% rye mash bill. It is distilled in Indiana. It is bottled in Bardstown, Kentucky, and it is a rye value at between $25 and $30 a bottle. The name of it is an homage to the revolutionary recipes of whiskey back in the day, and it's pretty damn good. So that'll be the guest bottle for this evening. The only regret I have about when we start going face to face with everybody again is I got to start buying bottles that the other boys can drink as well. So
that's really going to make me cry. That'll really make me cry, there, Dino.
That'll really make me cry. Let's bring in the boys that make this all possible. Greg Hansberry on the audio side.
Hey.
Staples out of his head and drinking again. Yes, there's John Whitney, everybody, our video producer as well. Can't do the podcast without them. Boys, what are we drinking tonight? Hansberry, what you got in front of you?
I got this is a high rye out of Lexington, Kentucky.
Nice.
Bluegrass. It's just called Bluegrass from Bluegrass Distillery. It's good. Pretty rye.
Nice.
And I get McKenna 10-year.
That's a
bragger.
Well, every once in a while I get lucky
here in Ohio.
That's going to make me cry. That's going to make me cry because I used to be able to buy that bottle for $25-$30, and then they won awards, and it became a hard to get bottle. And you found one, which is now $50 a bottle, right?
Yeah. And the only reason I got it because I didn't feel guilty about spending some cash I found on the ground in the neighborhood a couple weeks ago.
I found cash on the ground.
I found $60 on the sidewalk.
60, like 320s or
320s. I did not post on the Clintonville forum. I figured I've lost $60. I might, at some point. It all comes around. It all comes around.
It all comes around. What goes around comes around. Well, thank you for everybody who's joining us right now. Eric Black, wisdom on opening Ohio. We can't rush out and do what we want. There's still a chance of reoccurrence. Okay, Eric, we know that the opening was supposed to be somewhat humorous, and we all know the seriousness. We're not going to get into the politics of what we need to do. You all need to know what you to do and what you're comfortable doing. I personally am not going to be rushing out in any type of hurry. I'm in no rush. I'm going to sit back and wait a little bit, but I do appreciate your comments right out of the gate.
When DeWine is on the episode next week, we'll ask him.
Yeah, when he's when we have when our first in front of people podcast is the governor and Dr. Acton, then we'll get to the bottom of this. Yeah, I'm sure they're chomping on the bit to be on Whiskey Business.
Action Acton.
And I see our little cousin, my cousin Caitlin. They're down in Lexington area. So yeah, we need to. Caitlin, we're gonna hit you and Patrick up to bring some good stuff up here for us. We'll sample on Whiskey Business.
Well, speaking of good stuff, Hansberry, get to the business real quick so we can get to our good stuff guest.
Of course, Whiskey Business Podcast is everywhere where you find your favorite podcast. Subscribe. Just click on that little subscribe button. Rate and review us because that helps other people find us. Thank you very much. WhiskeyBusinessPod.com is our newly designed website where you can find our YouTube channels, all of our archive episodes. Dino has some blog posts, that kind of stuff. That's WhiskeyBusinessPod.com. YouTube, subscribe. Whiskey Business with Dino Tripodis. If you're watching on YouTube right now, click that little subscribe button and the bell icon, and you'll get notifications. Thank you. Same thing with Facebook right now. If you're watching this, thank you. Cheers. Subscribe to us and share. Where else? You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, HBO Max. I think we're on HBO Max. Is that out yet?
We're not on HBO Max.
Not HBO Max.
We're not on HBO
okay,
Max.
Well, we will be. We will be. So
we will be on Spotify. We will be on Spotify soon. We've missed that one. So
iHeartRadio and
Spotify. We'll be
hopefully
joining
by the time
another.
This episode drops, we'll be on Spotify.
Are you feeling okay, Greg? Because you look a little fuzzy. Do you feel fuzzy?
Yeah, you said earlier your signal was for shit tonight, Hansberry.
It is horrible, dude.
Yeah,
sometimes you have one eyeball.
It's like Ryan Seacrest. You see that?
Yeah. It's fucked up.
I've been taking a lot of hydroxychloroquine, so I might be a little loopy tonight.
Hey, I'm impressed.
I've heard good things. I've heard beautiful things.
I'm impressed you can even say it.
That's right.
Jamie says, "Stop crying. It's embarrassing. You need to get out of the house." It was all for show. Thank you. Acting. Thank you very much.
That's right.
All right.
All right, let's get going.
All right, let's get going because I'm excited to have this guy back on the podcast. I say back because he joined us in the infancy of whiskey business when he was in town performing at the Funny Bone, and he was gracious enough to come over in the afternoon and record with us. But now, remotely, we can just go right to him. There he is, ladies and gentlemen, the amazingly funny, talented Greg Warren. Everybody, back. Comedian Hambone and One Down podcast. Nice. I never know what Whitney's going to put underneath somebody's name. Would you consider yourself to be a hambone? I haven't heard that word in 40 years, Whitney. What a hambone.
His podcast. It's off his Twitter page.
Yeah, I'm a hambone enthusiast, Dino.
You are?
Yeah. I mean, you know, that hambone, you know.
That's not too bad.
Has that helped? Wow. Has that helped you? Has that helped you in your career?
No.
Did anything in your career? Did being able to do the hambone actually?
No, it's tanked it. Really, it's hurt it quite a bit.
Quite a bit. Yeah.
A lot of people ask me to stop doing it, and I'm not going to stop. You know, that's it's my art. So.
What you believe in? How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. Great.
You look great.
I enjoyed your rant up top. That was great. And I agree with you. I've been crying at some weird stuff. Have
you been more emotional?
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely. But I've sort of been suspicious of my testosterone levels for a while. It's just those all those. I listen to a lot of sports radio. And that's all they play. Like that's their main advertisers is the, do you have low T? I don't know. Do you feel as good as you did when you were 24? I don't feel as good as I did yesterday, to be real honest with you. I know that's the way the world works. You feel a little worse every day, and then you die. And it's a pretty serious medical procedure, by the way, to inject your body with hormones. Like, oh
my God, I would never do that.
If I'm going to do that, I'm going to go to a place with a very serious sounding name, preferably with the word doctor at the front of it. These places, they all have like silly wordplay names, like "Come on down to Man's Sanity." No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not getting a transplant at Liverama Fun World either. If I ever hear, "Hey, do you have high blood sugar? You can't beat these prices." That's also. I'm not going.
Would you ever consider that? I know some people, they'll remain nameless, who have actually had the injections. I've
talked to people, and they work really well for a pretty short period of time. You feel like you're 18, and then it just has very, very decreasing result. And once you do that, in talking to my doctor, they were like, once you do that, you do, like, your body stops making it. You need to keep doing it. You need to keep getting supplement. It's a bad idea, and they don't know them. They don't know the long term. I think you're playing with probably some cancer risks and things like that.
Yeah, I drink and I smoke. How many more risks do I need?
To
add to the table, right? I mean, I don't eat right. I drink, I smoke, and I'm afraid to stop all
unless
those
there's
things
a low T facility that wants to sponsor us. I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah, no.
We will take a low T sponsor.
Sure, you will. Of course you will. Man.
You got a bathtub or something.
That's Greg Warren saying all that stuff, not us.
Yeah, no, I've already. I can't. There's no way they would sponsor me just because of how low testosterone I do have. I think they would.
Well, let me go back to the earlier thing. You said I've always known you as a guy that's been pretty upfront and open about what he's thinking and feeling, which is one of the reasons I love having you on the podcast. But do you feel like in these last few months, with everything that's been going on, have you been more emotional? Have you?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just because crying watching TV and not even like good stuff. I can't even remember. I wish I would have had more specific,
It doesn't have to be anything
and
good.
I don't watch a lot of comedy. Like I just get enough of that. So I watch all these, like, it's everything's one version of a soap opera. There's well shot soap operas, but like I've been watching Homeland on Showtime with Claire Danes or whatever.
Mhm.
It's fantastic, but it's getting just, I'm getting to the late seasons and it's so soap opera. I'm like, oh my God. Oh, I watched Castaway the other day and completely cried. Like really.
With Tom Hanks?
Yeah, broke down and cried. Yeah.
Wilson. Yeah.
The whole when he saw Helen Hunt and
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's pathetic, man.
Let's move on.
Yeah, I know. But I'm not proud of it.
I'm gonna get weepy.
Well, and also, I'm by myself. I'm alone. It's a little weird. I'm alone a lot, anyways. But this is getting a little weird.
And why is it more weird now? Because if you've been alone prior to this, everybody says, it can't be much different for you, Dean. You've been, you're at home, you live alone, and
but I mean, I also do comedy shows every night for the last 25 years. So, and that's an interaction of sorts. You talk to people before, you talk to other comics, you go see, you talk to the crowd, you see the club people. I mean, I've been alone, but not completely isolated. So,
and do you find when you find you're by yourself, do you find things out about yourself that you don't care for, that you never really paid much attention to?
I've been aware of most of those things
all your life.
Not all my life, but I certainly have been aware of them. Yeah, I get. Yeah, I get afraid of my own thoughts sometimes, which is, you can't do that. You can't avoid thinking about stuff. But
what do you think about?
Guilt, Yeah, I have some guilt
over.
Some of it's rational, some of it's irrational. Some of it is like stuff that I have done in the past, and then some of it is stuff that I convince myself that maybe I did do and I didn't do. My rational mind is like, well, it's so far back. I'm like, I can't remember that.
You're not going to confess that there's bodies buried someplace in a wooded area that now you're just starting to realize you feel guilty about.
It's a weird thing. It's a real thing, I think. And it's a thing. And it's a little crazy. So I don't want to start thinking, because then I'll go there, and it's nuts. And when you're busy and when you're out around people, it doesn't get that nuts. And then I find myself looking forward to I'm ordering stuff all over I'm ordering all kinds of stuff on Amazon. That's my
I've been spending more money at home than I have been when I go to TJ Maxx every week.
And then I get the wrong stuff. I ordered some air filters the other day for the heating air unit, and I got the wrong size. I got some giant industrial size air filters delivered. I don't know what I was pressing. So I don't know if any of the listeners are an owner of a Toyota plant.
Did the helicopter dropped it off for you?
Yeah. I'll send it to them, because you can't use. There's like five people in the world that can use this thing. There's no. It's huge. And then
go ahead.
There's stuff that you can't get. I guess I have a problem with the soap, like the soft soap.
It's like the wipes. Some of the wipes for us, I think.
Oh, the wipes are no chance.
No.
But the soap that comes out of the dispenser, that you can get it, but not like the normal soap. You can't get like Dial or Method or whatever. You can get the really high end stuff, but it's for lack of better words, it's like the flavors that didn't work out. It's like, lavender and mackerel. That's rainwater, liver, and onions.
The mackerel liquid soap.
Yeah. So I got a bunch of that stuff.
See, I've actually saved money during all this.
Have you? I think I've saved a little.
I love to gamble, and I love to go out to bars and drink. And all my drinking has been here at home, where there's an actual bottle. You can see bottles in the background here. That's just a small sampling. And gambling has cut down considerably. I've actually saved money during all this. I look at my bank account and I'm like, why do I have that much? I don't normally have that much.
Are you familiar with Bovado?
With what?
Bovado.com.
Bovado.com.
It's an online gaming site that I've contributed to during this.
You contributed to it.
Yeah. Sorry, man.
No, come on. Stay on the Arado Bay.
You can play. You can play poker in 5 minutes. You could be playing poker. Yeah.
Nope, I can't. No, I won't. Because what it did was it convinced me that I was not a degenerate compulsive gambler because I actually didn't miss it as much as I thought I would. What this crisis has not convinced me of is whether I'm a high functioning alcoholic, which that's still on the table. So that's still on the table as far as discussion goes. And your health is good. Like I said on the onset, you look good. You look healthy. You got a haircut. Looks like a fresh haircut. I got a haircut
today, man. I feel pretty good.
Nice.
About that. Yeah.
Nice. I can't wait to get one.
My God, it was getting like really clown stuff, and you
ain't got the poly walnut sides going on like that.
Yeah, I did, man. I had exactly that, but it didn't match as well as it looks. It didn't it looks distinguished with you. I look like a clown with me. Like it's
distinguished.
Yeah,
not a
great.
word. No.
But your distinguished and disheveled.
My health's okay. I don't know. It's not great. I don't have COVID. I got tested, but
why'd you get tested?
For what?
I was feeling pretty bad, man. Yeah, I was feeling pretty bad. Yeah. And I'm not so concerned. I'm not convinced that I maybe didn't have it. I got tested for the antibodies and it wasn't there, but I'm not sure about all these tests because I had a rough, like early in the year, I was getting sick all the time. And then, man, right before everybody went inside, I felt like a truck hit me. I was on the road quite a bit, and it didn't feel normal road weariness. So I don't know.
I was talking to my friend Jamie earlier today. We were talking about comics.
Oh, Jamie, man, yeah, you got all the champs listening. Jamie and Paulie, this is awesome.
Yeah, all the boys are tuning in. Yeah, and we were talking about the general mental state of comics in general. That comics are usually, for their baseline of mental health is fucked up, and it goes from there. So, do you think at any point in your life do you consider yourself to be a hypochondriac, or do you actually feel like when you're sick, you're really sick? Or do you panic every time something happens?
I think there's a little bit of both, honestly. But I don't think I'm a true hypochondriac. I had a bunch of stomach problems like 10 years ago.
I remember.
And like doctors couldn't fix it. And I was going to doctors and after like 6 or 7 doctors like, well, do you think about being your head? And, I want to be like, well, fuck you. I mean, it just bothers me. It's like, that's an easy cop out for you. You can't diagnose something. So you say it's me, but then also I'm like, well, I don't know. Maybe it is. How would I be able to tell you if that's the case? And then what would bother me, they'd be like, I had some bad stomach problems. And they'd be like, are you depressed? I'd be like, yeah, I'm depressed that my stomach hurts, man. I am depressed about that. And it's funny, one of our good friends, Courtney Stroop, she was like, you should go see a holistic doctor, back then. And I'm like,
Yeah, that's the first thing that pops in my mind.
I'm not going to see a witch, and then my stomach hurt for like 6 more weeks. And I'm like, I'm going to go see the witch, and I went to this holistic doctor and it was like, it wasn't witchy. Like it was like it was just like some blood tests, some food sensitivity tests. She recommended some, like some diet stuff and some supplements. And I mean, there was some weird stuff. Like you don't call her doctor. You call her like by her first name. I call her Olivia, which is weird, but Olivia was like a miracle worker. She completely, it wasn't in my head. She like fixed it real quick. She's a godsend, but Olivia's not cheap. Okay. Olivia is not cheap. Then I'm like, well, that's fine. I'll pay her and I'll just send the bill to the insurance company. And I send the bill to the insurance company. They're like, we're not paying Olivia. Like they're like, yeah, woo. I'm like, no, I thought so too. I thought so too. Like she's a witch. I'm like, she's a good witch. You don't understand. Like
we have no we cannot accommodate a witch on your plan, Mr. Warren.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, and I get it, sort of, because the whole there's a giant spectrum with holistic medicine. Like over here on one side, you got Olivia, who's basically a doctor. Okay, she's and she knows stuff that a lot of I had a gastroenterologist say you should go see her. Like also, so she but then over here you got the the wacky hippie guy on the internet that tells you to when you have a cold to wrap your feet with garlic and onions and saran wrap. And, the thing about that guy is I did that too. Well, I did that. I did the garlic and onions thing on my feet one time. I lost my mind. I was just like, well, Olivia worked. Let's see what else is out there. And I got a little bit far down that rabbit hole, and I get where, but I didn't ask the insurance company to pay for the garlic and the onion, or the saran wrap. I got that. And I used a lot. I didn't, or the socks. I went through a lot of socks on that deal. I didn't ask them to pay for that. I want to be like, well, just pay for Olivia, and they're like, well, we can't pay her. We're like, well, how do we know it worked? I'm like, well, because I'm telling you, that doesn't count. You might be crazy. I'm like, oh, don't go there. I've been there,
and that's covered.
Yeah, that's covered. That's covered if you're crazy. I'm like, let's go talk about Yeah. So I just pay Olivia. Like, no. I'm like, how do we know it works? I'm like, talk to my friends, okay? I used to complain about my stomach all the time. Now I don't. And then they would talk to my friends. And my friends would be like, no, he still complains quite a bit, actually. He still complains a lot. I mean, is it about his stomach? Honestly, we quit listening a long time ago. We couldn't tell you what he's complaining about. It's just a constant level of complaining. Hey, did he tell you about that time when he put the garlic and the onions? Hey, okay. All right. That we don't need it. Yeah, bad idea. Talking to my friends,
Oh man. Well, when you were here the last time with us, I remember you were citing some stomach difficulties, and
it's never going to go away.
I asked if you wanted to drink whiskey with us, and you said no, you weren't drinking because
I can't do it anymore. It just doesn't.
Stomach issues.
I used to love whiskey, man. I even brought a bottle on. I'm not going to drink it, but I brought a bottle on I've had this sitting at my house. Do you know if you ever make it to St. Louis? I want you to. I was it's in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. They have their own little distillery there, and it's called their 5-year reserve bourbon whiskey, Cedar Ridge, up near. In between Iowa City and Cedar Rapids.
Have you ever had it? Can you?
I haven't, man.
No.
Yeah, I just bought it.
Have had it?
Yeah, I had some buddies that really, really liked it, and
they really liked it. Okay, good.
That bottle's classy. Nice looking bottle.
Nice.
Roger's here. Recommend it. So if I,
nice.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Let's talk about.
I got some makers up there and some Jack.
For guests. So you want to be a good host if somebody should come over. You want to be able to offer them up something, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So let me move on to something near and dear to all of us, since we are podcasting and doing it remotely. You've got a new podcast as well, which I think which is very unique and fun because it comes from your love of crossword puzzles. It's called One Down, that you do with Brendan Eyre. And it is I never thought that listening to two guys doing a crossword puzzle would be this entertaining, but it actually is. As a matter of fact, just before we talk about it a little bit more, Johnny, whenever you want, show that little clip.
All right. Hold on. Stand by. My bad. I was trying to bring the logo up first, but
you're right.
I'm an idiot.
Here we go.
42 down. The clue is playing field. Dude, I can tell you're not listening right now. I can hear keyboards going right now. You're not even listening to what I'm saying.
Keyboards.
I can tell right now you're not listening to me. You're screwing around.
I don't even have a keyboard.
No, you're typing
about playing field. I don't have a keyboard.
Brendan, what I was doing right there, that's called acting. Okay.
Yeah. Dude, I was scared.
I know you were. I was trained. I took acting classes in Los Angeles. I took them in New York. That's what we call acting.
Good, man.
That's
I thought I was going to get fired.
I'm a professionally trained actor. Okay.
Jeez, that was really good.
Just a little sampling of One Down with Greg Warren and Brendan Eyre. Do you guys actually do a whole crossword puzzle in the course of the podcast, or how far along do you get in it?
What we do is it's a weekly review of the New York Times crossword puzzle. So we each attempt every puzzle every day of the week. So we attempt all 7 puzzles, and then at the end, and then that following Monday we put out a podcast where we just sort of talk about each day. And a lot of, we're both comedians, and it's not I think it's a little bit for crossword puzzle nerds, but it's also a comedy podcast. The cool thing about crosswords is like every puzzle, every clue is some sort of potential joke, and you learn all these kind of things. I mean,
pop culture reference. Yeah.
Yeah. This week we got off on the Mamie Eisenhower tangent. Somehow we started talking about Mamie Eisenhower, and then let's see what happened. One of the clues this week was like, what's the fictional land for the the number 1 selling movie in 2017, and the answer is Wakanda from Black Panther, right? Okay, that makes sense. What the answer wasn't, which cost me about 30 minutes of trying to solve that puzzle, was Wachovia, which just so you guys know, Black Panther did not take place at a mid-level bank. And Brendan's better at it than I am. He can go 7 for 7 most weeks. And the way we do it is you're not allowed to, you can't press, solve, or, you can't check your answers on the app, and you can't go Google. You can't Google anything. Like it's all.
Anybody that Brendan, the New York Times crossword puzzle knows that the week starts off relatively easy, and then they get increasingly more difficult as the week goes on.
Yeah.
I'm done by Wednesday. I'm out.
Well, that was the one I listened to. They were giving you shit, Greg, because you missed a couple Wednesdays in a row.
I missed 2 Wednesdays in a row. I was I was suspended for a while. Brendan was going to kick me off the podcast. It was rough, man.
Whose idea was it?
Kind of both of ours, because he's a good friend of mine, and we talk a lot, and we found ourselves talking about the puzzle all the time. And I just didn't want to do a podcast unless it was something that I was really interested in. We actually just found ourselves bitching about the puzzle a lot, like just claiming injustices, and we thought some of the clues were unfair, and there was some dirty pool going on, and we were like, so we would call and complain, and then we were like, we should try this, and then we sort of figured out.
Who do you call and complain to? Who do you complain to?
I called Brendan to complain to him, and he would call me to complain to me.
I see. You don't end up actually calling
Gary
Larson or whoever it is.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about Will Shorts? Will Shorts. We're working towards that. We have we have some segments that are dedicated to shorts, and we're gonna get on his radar pretty soon here. It's pretty fun, man. I mean, it's supposed to be good for Dino. You said you've done a few. I find it similar to the joke writing process, because sometimes you have this premise and you're like, there's something here, and I can't quite reach it. I cannot get to what's funny about this premise. So I got to kind of triangulate around it. I got to fool around and try what's close to it, and just sort of build around it. That's kind of what it's like. Oh, I can't get this clue, so I got to get these other clues that are close to it. There's something similar. It's supposed to be good for your brain chemistry, crossword puzzles too. Right. But if you were ever to hear the thoughts in my head while I was attempting to solve a puzzle, it would sound the opposite of smart. It would sound like no. Oh boy, it's boy. Okay, I got it. Yeah.
Are you
not a lot of chemistry?
Are you a pencil crossworder or a pen?
No, the app. We do the app.
Oh, the app.
The app. And the app does give you an advantage in that when you complete the puzzle and it's all right, it'll tell you you're done. It'll have a little noise, and you're happy.
All right.
Whereas you won't know that on the paper. You don't know if you got it right or wrong. So, but the app, you got it. So if you don't hear that little noise, you got to keep trying. Basically.
Indulge me then. If you were doing one in the paper, would you use pen or pencil?
Man, I think I'd go pencil. I mean, I don't like writing with a pencil, but I think I would go pencil.
Really? Pencil? You strike me as a confident pen guy.
Yeah, I mean, I've been beaten on this thing so many times. I'm close enough to know how much of a journeyman I am with these things. So I would definitely need. Yeah, I mean, I got 6 out of 7 last week. I got 6 out of 7, nice. So I'm improving. Nice. I got beat up on a Friday. Really, I mean, like just 2 words just pissed me off. Something about it, some Broadway show, and trees are getting me, man. I got to start learning trees, man.
You need to become more of an arborist. Yes,
I do. Yeah, arborist. I don't know what that means. So yeah, yeah. I mean, like I know Christmas, palm, and other. That's basically what.
Other
and other trees. You mentioned it's very similar to writing stand-up. Speaking of stand-ups, Vince Morris joined in on the.
No, wait, man! One of the funniest guys in the world, right there.
Vince Morris joined in. He says, "What up, Greggy Greg?" Yeah,
that's one of the funniest human beings in the world, right there, man.
Vince Morris, another guy who we've been trying to get on the podcast, and haven't been able to hook up.
You can't get Vince, man. You can't get.
We're gonna get Vince.
He's slippery, man. That guy, you can't pin him down, man. You can't pin him down.
Hey, Vince, what are you doing next week, buddy? Hey, Vince.
What's going on? We got an opening. We got an opening.
He's gonna tell you. He's gonna tell you he'll be there, man. But Vince, he's got. You never know. It's hard to pin him down.
He's a busy man.
I've actually pinned him down. He popped into town, and we've actually met up and had drinks and broke bread a couple times here recently. So I think I can nail him for the podcast. But
you guys want to check out that one. That guy is.
Well, I'm afraid funny. My only fear is that it'll be so inside because I've known Vince longer than I've known you.
Oh yeah, you guys, man, you guys are way back. Yeah,
we have a whole different language when the two of us start to talk, and when we talk privately, we just laugh our asses off, cracking each other up. I'm sure you've got friends like that, right? Especially during a time like this. I mean, who have you spoken to the most? When
Brendan, the podcast buddy, yeah, right? Him, yeah. I talk to my dad every day. Yeah.
How is your family through all this? How's somebody like your dad handling this?
He's fine.
Because
he's doing okay.
You talk about your parents in your act. You have
sure,
and I'm kind of curious how someone like your father would be.
You mean initially he was sort of a little bit resistant to like this is not real, and then but he's a very high risk. He's got diabetes and congestive heart failure, so like he picked up like I gotta stay inside. I gotta be careful. I mean I wish he would go out a little less. He goes to the grocery store or the hardware store, but he wears his mask. But yeah, I'm afraid of that.
Is he one of these people that wears it willingly?
He's doing what he's supposed to.
Does he wear the mask willingly or reluctantly?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, willingly.
Sure. Yeah. No, I think he does. I think he's like, I don't think it's like he likes it, but I think he's like, yeah, that's what you got to do. In his situation, you need to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and the rest of the family's good.
Yeah, everybody's good. I meet him. Meet my dad up at the park and just like sit, 10 feet away from each other and hang out, talk a little bit. Yeah.
Haven't you always been 10 feet away from your parents, though, when you really think about it? I've never been, I don't think when I went to go see my mother down in Florida right before all this hit, like, oh, you were in Florida and you visited your mom. I said, well, you know what? I haven't been closer than 6 feet towards my mother my whole life. I don't think so. There was no issues. There was no problems. Let's talk about what you got coming up. Speaking of comedy. And Johnny, get this ready because we're going to take a little clip at Greg Warren's new comedy special, which will be debuting on June the 30th on Amazon. And here's a little sample of what you're going to see.
No.
Well done. Johnny. Timing.
I'm having problems. Stand by.
I like that clip.
This is what Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel can do. They get to record this, and if they fuck it up, it's all fixed in the editing. But we're live, so we have to wait.
All right. Here we go. Here we go.
All right. It would have been so good. Here we go.
if I didn't do my chores, I got grounded. If a farm kid doesn't do his chores, the bank forecloses on the family. It's high over there, man. It's very easy to remember because field corn is grown in a field, whereas sweet corn is grown in a field. So you can see you guys about how much money I make, but let's just say I can walk into a Red Lobster and get whatever. Okay, like the other day, I heard 37 swear words in under a minute. I was like, that is going to be a sturdy building.
The name of the special, Where the Field Corn Grows, on Amazon, June 30th. And this is what I want to ask you. You were talking about when you're doing the crossword, and you think about it, makes you think about comedy premises and finding the right word and so forth and so on. I want to ask you specifically about that. When you're doing that Red Lobster joke, how many different words popped into your head before you settled on whatever? And I know that sounds so minute. It's like such a piece of minutia, but you could have said, I can go into Red Lobster and order anything I want. I can go into Red Lobster and get, anything, but you chose and took that little pause and you said, whatever. So when you're experimenting with something like that, do you find that there is the absolute right word said the right way that makes a joke funnier?
I think, I mean, absolutely. I think that there's probably, in my mind, for every joke, there's one way to tell it, and it's going to take you a year to figure it out sometimes. And that particular one, like, I don't want to brag, but let's just say I can walk into a Red Lobster and get whatever. So that was like definitely not pencil or paper or pen to paper. Like that was, I think that's more of an acting moment than it is, like a word. So whatever word conveys the acting moment. I think the pause right there is probably more important than the word.
The word?
I can get whatever. In my mind, I think the beat. I think the beat may be more important than the word. But I agree. I don't. I don't. That one was like that one. I got. Sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes you just sort of fooling around with something on stage, and I think that's sort of came out in a performance. Sometimes it's more about, hey, this is. I'm sitting down with the paper, and I'm like, this is the way to write this. Usually I go in about 80% baked on stage and fool around with it until it seems right. But
see, because I was listening to it, and I totally agree with you about the beat. But I was watching that clip, and I must have watched it about half a dozen times before tonight, and like the word whatever. Yeah. Because I was going through my head, and I was like repeating it to myself. I took the beat and I said, I can anything. No. Whatever I want. No. Whatever. It just seemed like that was the word. And I go back to something, and you said it takes a year to figure all that stuff out. It's
sometimes a year. I think sometimes you get it a lot quicker. Yeah. Sometimes I think it's that thing like when you have like, I think the bit that comes after that on the special was the one that was really killing. And so that one I was like, let's just add to it. And you're like playing with the house money. You're like, all right, this is already strong here. Let's fool around. And I think that's when you find something cool.
Mm-hmm. And this special, where'd you get the title? Where the Field Corn Grows?
I kind of actually, Brendan, my buddy, my podcast partner, I wanted something about farming. The special is a lot about how I don't know anything about farming. And so I wanted something farm, and I had another title, but there was like a band. I think it was called Undercover Crops at one point, but there's a band in like some band in Australia that's called that. And I was like, I don't want to take some band. I mean, they were a tiny band. I don't want to take somebody's name that somebody obviously already thought of that, So, and then I thought Where the Field Corn was, it's a lot about the special started. I was in Iowa doing a show. There's a bunch of people in the crowd that were farmers. And I asked this guy, I go, what do you farm? And he goes, beans. And I said, like green beans. And they all start laughing at me like I'm the dumbest person. He thinks we go green beans in Iowa. So then we got into this discussion about field corn and sweet corn, and I didn't know the difference. And so the special's about that. And he was like, where the field corn grows, which I especially like the graphic. I think once you see it since the video thing, and it's going to get advertised on the internet a lot. When you see that, I think they'll kind of get what it is. And it's, it's a pun. It's making fun of that novel Where the Red Ferns Grow or something like that. Where the red fern grows. So, but I don't think that you have to get that reference to get, to still the title to be effective. But I like that the words field corn is in there.
Yeah, it's a nice literary title for a comedy special. Yeah,
for an illiterate comic. Yeah.
Is this a half hour or an hour special?
Hour. Yeah, it's like just under an hour, I think. Yeah.
Oh, is that brutal?
No. I mean, it was fun.
Is that brutal to come up, because you've had half hour comedy things on Comedy Central, and you've done a bunch of other stuff. You've been, you've done sets on Late Night with Seth Meyers, Last Comic Standing, Craig Ferguson when he had a show. So is everything in this special brand new? Is it?
Yeah, it's all new, man. It's all new.
So when you're putting something together like that, I mean, what aside from being the labor of comedic love that it is, how long did it take you to put this new hour together? I mean,
I put an album out in like 2017, I think. So I think it was like a sort of about a 2.5 to 3 years to get there. And I was just going to put an album out. I was just going to release this as an album. And I was up at Sirius Radio, and a good friend of mine works there, a guy named Jack Vaughn, who's a really sharp guy. He started Comedy Central's record label a long time ago. And I did an album with him, and he's just one of the guys. He was like he was one of the first guys. A lot of what you see on the way modern comedy records are promoted and where they're played, like he has a lot to do with that. So he knows what he's talking about. And I was like, hey, Jack, I gotta, I think this was in like 2019. I was like, I think I got a CD coming your way to Sirius in next year. He's like, oh, cool. What's it about? I'm like, I don't know. At that point, I got this one farming bit, and I told him the bean thing, and he's like, that's the thing. He goes, you got to do that. Just do way more of that. And you got to shoot it. Don't just do it. You got to shoot it.
So you're telling me one green bean joke said, this guy heard one green bean joke and he said, that's a special?
Sorta. Yeah, sorta. I mean, he kind of, he felt, it was kind of like that. I mean, now there was a lot more farming stuff that was going to be on the CD, but then he was like, you need to double down on the farming stuff. And now if you listen to it, it's about probably a half hour of farming related stuff. And then, another 25 minutes of, I would say, stuff that's not, like, it's funny. It's not farm material, but over time, when you start doing bits together, they fuse together anyways. Like I have a bit about wrestling. Well, it's a bit about a guy when I was in college, they used to bring in this farm guy to wrestle me. This guy who turned out to be an ex-Olympian, they would bring him in. So it's, there's loose sort of ties to farming. And so it's not, so this sort of came, and I'm not a farmer, but I went and I visited like 5 farms and talked to guys and tried to learn stuff. And, it was kind of fun, man. I actually did for the first time. I did like sort of research for an album.
For a role.
Well, yeah. I mean, I never thought about doing that, but that makes kind of good sense.
Yeah. It was interesting.
Obviously it paid off.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm kind of excited about it. It's different. I had fun. It was fun going out to see some of these guys because, like I said, I don't know anything. And but I remember calling one guy, and I'm like, because I think it was like they were planting or something, and I was like, hey man, when I get there, I'm coming in. Are the crops going to be up? Like, yeah, are they going to be up like their Christmas decorations?
Are they gonna be
idiot? Yeah.
Yeah. So, when you look at your body of work, are you feel like this is like are you most proud of the most recent thing, or do you look?
Oh shit, Dino.
Or do you look back? No, seriously, because you've always struck me as one of these people.
Not today.
that's never that refuses to rest on laurels. So
yeah, I don't know. I mean, you always think that you're it's funny. I mean, I shot this last July and I think it's good. I do. But, you know, I've written another 25 minutes since then. And I think that's part of me is like more excited about that because it's newer. But I think this is good. I think it's, you know, it's people that I trust that are friends that have seen, they say this is, you know, some of your best work. So I think it's definitely the most cohesive hour that I've put together.
Do you believe it's some of your best work?
Yeah, I think it is. I really do. Yeah, I do. It's I think it's the most, and I think it's the most cohesive. It's probably the, you know, it fits together better than any hour.
Have you?
It's clean too, which is something I've always been clean.
You've always been
relatively clean, man. I've always been like relatively, but this is, you know, this is a kid could watch this. In fact, I want kids to watch it. It's you know, I could have watched this when I was a teenager or whatever. It's totally clean. And I'm not that kind of guy. Like I enjoy a lot of, you know, dirty comedy, and I had been profane and before. I was never overtly sexual or anything in my act, but I've been profane on stage plenty of times, but this is not that. I wanted to do
by comparison, no. By some of the people who I consider to be profane comics, at times myself included, no.
Sometimes I feel like comedians crutch. It's a crutch. They use, you know, F words and sex and this and that.
Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's really funny. You know, I don't mean that like, oh, what I'm doing is a higher level of comedy because I don't mean that at all. No. I just I got some Jack, actually, the guy at that I know it's serious, and he told me several years ago, he's like, man, you're so close to being like Gaffigan or Regan level clean. You need to just go the final step and do it. He goes, because it's silly for you to not be played on some mediums because you have to drop like, you know, 3 curse words in an hour or something. You know? But I was pretty strict about, you know, I mean, not their level of talent or their level of genius, just their level of, you know,
marketability.
Yeah. I don't know. I hope that a lot of people, I do think this album and this special, I hope that a lot of people that don't watch a lot of comedy and will find this because it's and it's not political in any way, which I have political leanings and opinions. I just have never really chose to talk about them on stage, and I didn't feel like now was a good time to do it.
Well, now no, because it splits a crowd.
It'll
split a crowd. But even though you say it's not political in any way, in this current climate, the way everything that's going on, you know, farmers are in the news too, though. I mean, they're taking a beating.
Sure, they are. I just don't talk about it. Yeah, I mean, I hope. I hope that they. I hope farm people watch it. I hope kids watch it. You know,
they will.
I hope so.
They will. I definitely. And Amazon's on board, so that's a huge coup.
Yeah, I think. I mean, the guys that are produced at 800 Pound Gorilla really kind of know what they're doing as far as promoting specials and albums. They sort of internet geniuses, you know. So I'm lucky that I've got those guys on board.
Where did you shoot your special? Where did you shoot it?
I shot it, John, in Edwardsville, Illinois, which is about a half hour from St. Louis, where I live. And I wanted to do it, I wanted to shoot it near St. Louis because it was in the dead of summer, and it's not easy to get a crowd out in the dead of summer. And I knew, I've got a lot of fans and friends and family in St. Louis, and but I wanted to shoot it near farmers. So Edwardsville is like right in the middle of a bunch of farms, and we really reached out to the farm community. There's a big tractor parked outside when a big combine parked outside. Like the intro of the special is like a combine pulling up to the theater. And then afterwards, the end of the special, we interviewed farmers coming out of the crowd. Asked them what they
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. Yeah, we had fun with it, man. Yeah. Old buddy runs a theater over there. Dino, you remember Al Canal?
Of course.
Yeah, Al. That's Al's theater, man. I
have his bumper sticker in the poker room downstairs.
Oh yeah. Al runs that theater, and so it was pretty cool, man.
What's the name of the theater?
The Wildy Theater. It's really cool, man. It's like an old movie theater they put a bunch. The city put a bunch of money into, and it's
that's nice.
Still got the popcorn up front, and they kind of went with like a movie. I mean, I know nothing about aesthetics, but they sort of went with like they have the lighting was sort of movie-ish, I guess.
Cool.
So, you think this is your most cohesive amount of work as of late, as far as the special goes. And I know that you're very critical about yourself, like a lot of comics are. So, moving forward, and especially with everything that's happened in the last couple of months, how do you think this is going to change your direction as far as a comedian and a performer? And you jokingly mentioned in the podcast that you do, I'm an actor. I've taken acting lessons, and no, but seriously, I mean, you took those for a reason, right? Because that's obviously that's something else that you want to do. In light of everything that's happened, where do you think this business is going to go? And are you concerned about moving forward as far as performing again? And if you can't do it the way it used to be, what's your next step?
Man, I don't think anybody knows the answer to that. I mean, I think it's going to be weird for a year. And I think there will be some live performances over the next year. I think they're not going to look like what they used to look like, but I think some of that'll be back. And then I think, eventually things are going to get back to similar to the way they were. I think there will be live performances. I think in the summer of 2021, you're going to see live performances, quite, and it may be before then. Okay.
Back to normal. There'll hopefully be a vaccine by then and everything.
Yeah. Whether it's a vaccine or whether people just say, hey, we've sort of, I think people are going to want to go see live stuff. And, I can't really think any way else. I don't, now some people want to make you think stand-up comedy's dead and it's not going to, I'm like, I don't believe it. I just don't believe it, and if it is, then who knows what I'll do. But I'm not going to really abandon my process too much just because of this. There's some people who are like, well, I'm going to start doing stand-up comedy on the internet all the time. I'm like, well, I'm not. I don't like the way it looks. I don't now that, and maybe 10 years from now, that's what it is. I don't think so. I just don't think
I think you sitting here with us and being funny and witty and smart works in this format. We've talked to at least half a dozen comedians over the course of this thing, and none of them relish the fact of having to do stand-up like this and not hear an audience or see an audience. But my question to you is, if this were to magically or tragically is a better word, go away, are there still some things that you want to do that maybe you haven't done yet that you would kind of draw your focus away and say, okay, maybe now, just because of fate and just because of the way things are going, it's time to do this? What has Greg Warren not done yet that he still wants to do?
I wrestled in college my whole life, as a kid, and I've shot like a couple like silly films or sketches and stuff, and they had a lot of within the wrestling community, which is growing. In Ohio where you guys are, it's a big deal.
Huge.
And they sort of like they went within the wrestling community. A couple of them went like viral, like people loved it. And so I want to create a series, a wrestling, a comedy about wrestling. And I have not done as much as I should, but I'm partnered with a guy in New York that's he runs animation shows, and we are pretty far down the road on creating an animated series about wrestling, and we're working on the pitch doc right now, and it's a lot of tedious work, and I could do a better job of it, but I hope, whether or not stand-up comes back or not, I hope over in a couple months, I've done a lot of work on that, a lot of quality work. Yeah. So
once again, they tell authors and writers to write what wrestling. So this would be about high school and college wrestling, not
you guys
professional wrestling, or
not professional, no, not WWE.
Big time wrestling.
Big time wrestling.
You guys, familiar with that show Last Chance U on Netflix? It's like a documentary reality show about a junior college in Mississippi where kids that screwed up go to play football.
Yes, I have heard. I've not seen it, but I have heard of it. Yes.
So this is sort of we call this First Chance U, and this would be a documentary about a brand new Division I college wrestling program, which is going on right now at Arkansas Little Rock. In Little Rock, they had Division I wrestling for the first time, NCAA Division I wrestling. So this would be like a documentary about a new program, but it would be animated. Is the current thinking.
So the whole struggling of filling all the spots with wrestlers who have no idea who the fuck they are, right?
Yeah, wrestling. Trying to find you probably have less scholarships than your competitors do. Sure. We have kind of a funny a guy we call Soybean Bob, who's
Soybean Bob.
Soybean Bob's like the local farm dealer, and it takes place in Kansas, and he's their main donor. He's their big booster, which gave a lot of the money. But you find out Bob's got gambling issues, so the money's not always there. And and it's we got to play a little bit, because depending on where it winds up, there's some wrestling sites that are very well funded that are publicly traded. Flow Wrestling is this really cool. They just basically have decided, hey, we're going to look at amateur underserved sports and cover them, and it's huge. If we took it somewhere like that, and there's 3 or 4 other sites like that, the story would be a little bit more sort of inside, where, hey, you have to have wrestled to sort of get all of this. And then if you go to somewhere like Netflix, it's got to be a little more like, hey, even if you hadn't wrestled, you could still get what's going on here. So
for a while there, you were sending me all your short little films, and they're great. So don't say anything disparaging about that type of work. But when you first said, I used to wrestle, for half a second, I actually believed that maybe you were going to tell me that at 51 years of age, I want to start wrestling again.
No,
I want to get back in the ring. Doing a comeback, Mike Tyson on a comeback.
Yeah, I think that would be a really, really bad idea.
Could you get back in? Could you get back in the ring?
No. Not even
could
close.
You do it?
No, it's not.
Would you?
It's a young man. I'm serious. No. I'm telling you.
What if you had to wrestle? What if you had to wrestle somebody your own age, or even better, me?
Oh,
well, yeah. I'm not as concerned there.
A challenge.
But you smoked 7 cigarettes since we've been talking. So yeah. A little less.
Shoot him up with some low T medicine, and we'll do it.
You know what about?
There'd be that start there. Go with it. I'd be down.
Yeah,
it'd be your quickest pin ever.
I think I was in Columbus doing the Bone, I don't know, probably 7 or 8 years ago, and Stroop had me go over to some high school. It was like a wrestling clinic, and I was showing some stuff and making them laugh and that kind of thing. And I showed a little bit of technique. And there's this guy over there that wrestled for Ohio State, and I knew him, and he was pretty good, And I go, hey, Josh, let's go a couple, And I literally almost had a heart attack, and I was ill, I got a cold the next day, and I had a hard time doing shows, and I was like, that was the last time I tried to go. It's not going to happen again. It's over.
A bunch of kids, man, they're in shape.
I remember we had friends in high school that were on the wrestling team, and they would always be walking around and in sweatsuits trying to make weight and everything. Just
you're in the Ohio is that area of Ohio is really some of the best high school wrestling in the country. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, probably maybe a little bit better up in Cleveland, but it's still really good where you guys are.
Joe
Did you ever have a mat made? Were there mat maids? Mat maids?
Yeah.
There you go.
Do that match for charity. You can get Dan Swart out, Swarty to ref.
Oh yeah. God, I love that guy, man. That guy is
Swarty was just on recently as well.
Oh, he's the best, man. The guy is
in the middle of his civic duties. You know, he's the vice mayor now of Powell, Ohio.
I think I did know that. Yeah.
Councilman and now vice mayor. So
did you have to call him your excellency on?
I don't know. I can't remember what we called him, but we gave him the respect that he was due. But he was. I think he was our first or second guest when we started doing this whole remote thing. So
that guy's.
We're gonna start to wrap it up here ourselves because Hansberry's been bugging me about trying to stay under an hour and a half, and I'm getting close to 1 hour and 15. So thank you. I'm trying, even though there's 1,000 more questions I have for Mr. Warren.
I'm gonna go watch the back half of the 7th season of Homeland and cry probably.
Right? You're right.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm gonna.
I'm glad. You know, I was kind of exaggerating it up front.
Yeah, I wasn't, man. I mean, you were doing a bit.
I'm serious. I did. I teared up on Apollo 13. I did why am I tearing up? I've seen this movie a dozen times and it's never affected me like this. I always thought to myself, this is a damn fine motion picture.
Yeah.
But I never oh man, what? Good for them. They made it.
You never told me
I knew they made it.
Speaking of film, is it? I never got to see that movie you made, man.
Oh, well, speaking of Amazon, it's on Amazon Prime as we speak.
Is it really?
Yeah.
What's the name of it?
The Street Where We Live.
The Street Where We Live. Yeah. Oh, that's great, man. Oh, yeah. I can just put it on Amazon Prime?
Yep, it's up there.
Oh, that's great, man.
It's on a couple of other formats as well, but Amazon Prime is probably the largest one that it's on right now.
Oh,
and it's been up there for quite a few months, and it's gotten some lovely, amazing reviews from people. So
I can't wait to see it, man.
And if you don't like it, just let it play all the way to the end because we get paid by the minute.
Yeah, it's true. We do get paid. Get paid by the minute.
I can't wait to see it, man. I'm just in awe that you made that thing, man. That's
we made it for very little money, and it turned out to be a wonderful, wonderful film. Thanks to the guy in the left-hand corner there, John Whitney directed it.
John, you directed it?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
John
man,
was the director.
Oh, that's great. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it very soon. Thanks for telling me that, man. I've been telling me. I mean, I think I saw. You sent me the trailer, and I saw a little. During the process, you were telling me about it, and somehow I lost track and never really knew when it was. It did the festival circuit for a while, right?
A little bit, yeah.
It did the festival. We won. We were up in Toledo, I think, where we won that festival, and honorable mention a couple of others, and
we did okay. Mostly the Rust Belt film festivals liked it. I don't know why.
Well, that's your theme, though, right? It's very. I mean, it's that. Yeah. Oh, you're kidding, but I mean, that's what it is, right?
I'm serious. It actually did do well.
I could see that. I mean, from the little I saw, the little part. I mean, you get the feeling you're there, man.
It did well, and it also affected
the Wiley Theater. It killed.
It affected a lot of women who were actually in that situation. Living in a car for a month with their family because they were shoved out of their dwelling because they couldn't pay the rent. So a lot of women came out of the screenings and said, that's my story.
Wow. Man, so weird. That had to feel good, right?
Yeah. I had one woman came up to us and came up to me up in I think Buffalo, and she just walked up to me and said, "How did you know my story?"
Man,
and she was like crying and stuff. It was like it was amazing.
God.
Yeah, I personally was not ready for that. I was not expecting that type of thing. We would hit that type of nerve. So, yeah, check it out. But more importantly, ladies and gentlemen, on June 30th, Amazon on Amazon Prime, right?
Yeah,
right?
I think some version of Amazon.
Amazon Prime. Where the Field Corn Grows, that would be Greg Warren's new comedy special coming out on June 30th. Also tell us about One Down, how we can get to One Down, the podcast that's up there with Brendan Ayer right now as we speak. How do you get to that?
Anywhere you get your podcasts. It's One Down with Greg Warren and Brendan Ayer. It's if you're a crossword puzzle fan, I think you'll love it. Even if you're not, it's more of a comedy podcast. So give it a shot.
No, it's good stuff. Everybody should tune into that and listen to that on a weekly basis so you can get your little dose of Greg Warren and Brendan once a week, and then check out the comedy special on 6:30. And hopefully when all this crazy shit is over, we'll see you back here in Columbus, Ohio at the Funny Bone live and in person. I can't thank you enough for taking the time to be with us, pal.
Thank you, buddy.
I really appreciate it. It's good to see you even remotely. It's good to hang out with you and be with you for a little bit. So thank you for your indulgence as always and your honesty and best of luck to you moving forward, brother. I know you still got big things to do, and I think you're going to do them. And
thanks, man.
How many years in the business now?
I a full time like 19, but I was doing it when I first met you. I was doing it, at night, as like a hobby kind of thing for about 10 years before that too. So 19, 20 years, and here you go. The best is still yet to come. I sincerely believe that. Thanks, man.
I believe after 20 years, you're finally hitting your stride, kid.
I feel like I am, honestly. I really do think that.
Right?
People are like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I swear to God, I think I'm starting to figure this out,
I said 51, you're starting to figure it out. Hey, trust me, I'm 61, and I still feel I have a final chapter left.
Absolutely, man.
I don't know what the fuck it is, but I feel that it's still hanging out there, and hopefully it'll manifest and show itself at some point. But best honestly, of luck to you,
thanks for telling me about the movie, man. That gives me. I'm just desperate for anything to watch.
Well,
I swear, man. Perfect. Yeah, I am, man. It's
not a feel-good movie, Greg. It's not a feel-good movie.
If you're crying easy, if you're an easy cry, this one's gonna make you cry.
Oh boy, man. I may have to wait till maybe later this week when I'm a little more stable. Yeah.
Hide the knives.
There might actually be a scene in the film where I make you cry.
Oh boy!
You're
a good actor, man. Yeah, I'm gonna watch it. I'll send you a note real soon, man. I can't wait. Thanks for telling me about that, man.
Well, all right, we're gonna wrap things up. Before we do, Greg Hansberry, one more time with the business, if you will, please.
Stick around.
Go to your favorite podcasting app, and
what are you laughing about? What's so funny? Why are you laughing at that?
I'm just laughing at all of it. Subscribe to One Down, of course, with Greg Warren. And while you're there, subscribe to Whiskey Business. Rate and review us when you do that, and that helps everybody kind of find us. iTunes, SoundCloud, iHeart. We should be on Spotify by the time that you hear this. If you're watching us on YouTube, thank you. Don't forget to subscribe and click the notification button. If you're on Facebook, thank you very much. Share this link and let all your other whiskey loving fans and friends watch and listen here. Whiskeybusinesspod.com is the new website. What else? Instagram, Twitter, and HBO Max. We're on HBO Max now.
We're not on HBO Max. Stop saying shit we're not on. Real quick, I just want to I'll try to scroll down here. Hansberry's done a good job of reaching out to people, but Sarah Miller says, Greg, you're great. Looking forward to seeing you back at the Funny Bone. Sarah, Chip chimed in. So funny. Great show. Stumpo. Jamie, wow, that plug sounded organic. It was kind of organic, that plug for the movie. It was
actually, man.
It was very organic. That wasn't planned at all.
No, man, I love Jamie. I like Jamie and Paulie. I haven't seen those guys in forever, man.
I don't know if Paulie hung in there with us to the end. He's got a short attention span, so he might have bailed. Same with Vince Morris. He probably gave us 5 minutes and then moved on. And if you're hearing that, Squiddy,
he'll be on the show next week though, so we'll be all right.
Yeah. Joe Cutrone, there will be no wrestling match between Greg Warren and myself, not even for charity. It would be the shortest charity event ever. And Krista Stoffer had some interesting things to say about acting. Subtext is sometimes more important than the words. acting coach agrees, she said. And Krista is an amazing actress, so she knows what she's talking about. To everybody else, thank you so much for joining us. Our guest has been Greg Warren. Once again, jot it down, the date, June 30th on Amazon, his new comedy special, Where the Field Corn Grows, and One Down, his podcast, which is available wherever you get those podcasts. Thank you, buddy. Always great to see
guys.
you.
Thank you.
I want to just wrap up and say that Whiskey Business is a Never the Luck production, produced magnificently, remotely even, by the talents of Greg Hansberry. Show him one more time. I don't know what the hell you were laughing at when we were talking sincerely, but we'll discuss it afterwards. And of course,
you don't want to know.
John Whitney. Yeah, I do. John Whitney, the amazing video side of Whiskey Business. The guest bottle has been a bottle of 1776, a little Mr. Pepper, James E. Pepper. This is a very reasonable bottle at 25 or 30. Why can't I never turn it right? 25 to 30 bucks a bottle. If you're a rye fan, this is a fine rye for the money. 1776 rye, available at all your favorite liquor establishments. And so, my friends, stay at home is over, but stay smart and stay safe and stay healthy, because we want you to keep coming back to join us here on Whiskey Business. And so, until the next bottle, see ya.